compatriots, our country can be as great as we want.
Let us all commit ourselves to its greatness.
We must be willing to set aside our differences, unite and stay as one.
In our expansive landmass, human and material resources, and plurality lies our strength.
Let our challenges lead us to rediscover our common ground. And together, let's find solutions.
This will take some time, so it requires patience, tolerance, and forgiveness from every one of us.
Let all hands come on deck to protect and transform our country.
Let us unite and see each other not as adversaries, but as brothers and sisters.
Together, we can build a better Nigeria for ourselves and for the next generations.
This message is brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA, with support from Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
Good evening. Auspicious occasion it was for OPEC Secretary General to come visiting home, and of course the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, both men singing the same song in perfect harmony titled Stability, which is what the global crude oil market daily needs at a time like this. Global climate change combat gets a boost with the board inauguration of the Osno Sunshine Biofuels Company Limited. You need to know who and who are on board and on the board. Plus, refineries rehab, how far so far with PHRC, WRPC, and KRPC. We have for you the auditor's comment looking at the books of these subsidiaries. We're glad you could join us. My name is Akin Agbejile. This is Oil and Gas Forum. The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Chief Timipre Silva, and the Secretary General of the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, Dr. Mohamed Barkindo, have expressed their readiness to work hand in hand to ensure stability of the global crude oil market. This commitment was made recently when the Nigerian-born OPEC scribe paid the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources a business visit in his office in Abuja. Chief Silva said Nigeria, as one of the leading oil and gas producing nations in Africa, will continue to abide by the Declaration of Cooperation DOC, which has gone a long way in stabilizing the market for the collective good of the producing and consuming nations.
We are having a fair share of the COVID-induced problems with all the courts that we are also complying to. You know that it's not been easy for us. But we are also very happy that the demand profile is actually improving. And we are hoping that very soon we can also produce optimal volumes.
On his part, Dr. Barkindo applauded Nigeria for the key role it has been playing in the global crude oil market, noting that the 50 years partnership between OPEC and Nigeria has impacted the crude oil market positively.
In the last 50 years, Nigeria had played a leading role in this organization as a bridge builder, as a consensus builder, and there is hardly any landmark agreement in OPEC in the last 50 years that you cannot trace Nigeria's contribution.
High point of the visit was the presentation of the book entitled Nigeria and OPEC 50 Years of Partnership to mark the golden anniversary of its membership in the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC.
I dey use my gas, well. My gas, you dey well.
My country people, time don't reach where all of us go begin. They use gas, they cook our food though. Because cooking gas, no they produce yama for pots. It no they produce smoke, wey fit damage person eye. Cooking gas, they quick well if we use and cook. And it no they smell for inside food. Because it no they smoke, our environment go come clean. And our trees go come green wella. But if we must use gas, we must use it with sense and with responsibility. Make sure say your gas cylinder never expire. And if you don't rust, make sure say you throw away the cylinder. Make you no try say you wan use am o, unless you wan kpai be that o. For you wey dey sell gas to customers, make sure say you locate your shop comot from where fire dey o. Train your workers wella on how dem go dey handle gas when dem dey sell am. My country people, gas wey you no handle wella when you dey sell am or when you dey cook no sabi the owner o. Make sure say you wise up when you dey use gas o.
NNPC, we touch your lives in many positive ways.
The Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, Malam Kyari, has assured that the ongoing 614 kilometers Ajaokuta-Kaduna-Kano AKK gas pipeline project will be delivered on schedule, create prosperity through massive job opportunities, and guarantee peace for the country. The GMD stated this at the Gas Sector Stakeholders Forum, which held in Kano, Kano State, with theme Optimizing the Economic Development Capacity of Ajaokuta-Kaduna-Kano AKK gas pipeline project. In a paper titled The AKK as an Economic Development Game Changer, NNPC's Vision, Contributions and Plan Forward, Malam Kyari stated that the AKK gas project would help revamp about 232 industries, creating massive employment opportunities and prosperity for the people.
What we are seeing today is a very massive development of delivering at least 2 billion scopes of gas into the domestic market at the first instance, and with potential to increase it to a higher number. What this means is that it will debottleneck the entire gas distribution network in the whole of the country.
He said the AKK gas project would also lead to the development of 3 independent power plants, IPP, in Abuja, Kaduna, and Kano, adding that the IPPs will boost electricity supply and promote the growth of small and medium-scale enterprises in Nigeria. Malam Kyari said the AKK gas project would also boost the agricultural, industrial, manufacturing, and power sectors for the overall growth of the nation's economy.
Once it is done, it will bring up over 232 industries across its corridor and obviously create massive job opportunities. By our own estimates, it can create up to 1 million jobs along its corridor and along the industry that it will create.
In his keynote address, the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Chief Timipre Silva, said the Gas Sector Stakeholders Forum will ensure collaboration amongst stakeholders geared towards kickstarting the required activities that would guarantee full usage of the gas to be delivered through the AKK gas pipeline when completed.
Our successful collaboration and the completion of the AKK in 2023 will significantly enhance Mr. President's vision and current drive for increased domestic gas utilization as the mainstay for the national industrialization, increased foreign investment, government revenue growth, and ultimately provide more job opportunities for Nigerians.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, has restated its commitment towards the revamp of the Port Harcourt Refining Company Limited, PHRC, and plans to secure Federal Executive Council approval for the overhaul contracts for the Warri and Kaduna refineries. Group Managing Director of the NNPC, Malam Kyari, made this commitment in an interview in Abuja. Malam Kyari said Italy's Mari Tecnimont is in the process of carrying out overhaul work on the Port Harcourt facility, which covers 2 refineries with 210,000 barrels per day of capacity. He noted that the contractor had mobilized to the site.
In this case, our contract with both the O&M contractor and the EPC contractor is to make sure we bring them back to at least 90% of installed capacity. That way you're sure that this refinery will be run commercially and economically, and at the end of the day you recover your costs and also deliver the value that you have. And also it should also run for 90% of the time. That's also important.
NNPC's other 2 refineries at Warri and Kaduna would follow a similar pattern.
As a matter of strategy, the same thing will happen to Warri and Kaduna in the sense that they will do a catch-up to Port Harcourt, because there are things that we learned from our experience, getting through the procurement process for Port Harcourt that we don't need to repeat in Kaduna and Warri. And our thinking that is, and our plan is to make sure that they do a catch-up. They will catch up with the Port Harcourt process so that we exactly do the same thing. By the way, the requirements that we have in Kaduna and Warri are not as significant as you have in Port Harcourt, because first Port Harcourt is larger, and then you also the first refinery there is much older refinery, which requires much more work than the new one.
He said the NNPC will not use government cash to pay for the refinery works, explaining that the corporation will seek private funding for the revamp.
We sought for just very marginal support from the Federation, but up to 80 to 90% of all the funds that will be required will come from borrowing. So we know that we're not taking Federation money to rehabilitate this refinery, contrary to what many people believe that, okay, could have used this money for something else. We're not taking it from the Federation. We are borrowing from a consortium of banks, headed by Afrexim and very many other financing institutions. So we have no fears around financing, because we're not going to take Federation money to do it.
In the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, transparency, accountability, and performance excellence tape is our philosophy and business secrets that has made us a going concern, as our stakeholders are monthly furnished and updated with our financial and operations report. Our 2018 and 2019 audited financial statements have been published. So, for us, we believe that these efforts have earned us a well-deserved place in the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, AT, as a partner company. In NNPC, we remain committed to transparency, accountability, and performance excellence tape in line with global best practices.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, says the ongoing rehabilitation of its midstream subsidiaries, the Port Harcourt Refining Company Limited, PHRC, Warri Refining and Petrochemical Company Limited, WRPC, and Kaduna Refining and Petrochemical Company, KRPC, were on course, assuring that the rehabilitation program of PHRC will be concluded on schedule. The Group Managing Director of the NNPC, Malam Melekiari, disclosed this at the 14th Annual General Meeting, AGM, of the PHRC and the 18th Annual General Meeting of WRPC, which held virtually. Malam Kiari, who doubles as chairman of the board of the two refineries, was represented by the Chief Operating Officer, Refining and Petrochemicals, Engineer Mustafa Yakubu. He said the plans were deliberately shut down to give room for the full rehabilitation.
The most important thing that as confirmed and affirmed by our auditor, that the proper good of accounting and the profit accounts have been well kept for the year 2020. As you are aware, the contract is already awarded. We had a kick-off meeting and the work is ongoing in terms of rehabilitation activities by the EPC contractor, Technimont.
The NNPC GMD said already Technimont SPA has commenced rehabilitation work on PHRC with a completion timeline of 44 months, while the old Port Harcourt refinery is scheduled to commence operation in the next 18 months. Also speaking at the annual general meeting of the KRPC, the chairman of its board of directors and group managing director of the NNPC, Malam Melekiari, who was represented by the chief operating officer corporate services, Mohammed Ahmed, said the pre-rehab maintenance work carried out on the plant has primed it for rehabilitation.
The goal is to completely restore the process units for efficient and effective operations, achieve a change in stakeholders' mindset towards profit orientation, instill the culture of business ownership, build capacity in critical business areas, and strengthen and entrench professional ethics and decorum.
Nidus Marine Limited, a subsidiary of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, into crude oil and petroleum products haulage, has ended its 2020 financial year on a positive note, posting a total revenue of $243,443,219. The chairman of the company's board of directors and NNPC's chief operating officer, ventures and business development, engineer Adeyemi Adetunji, disclosed this at the company's annual general meeting, which held virtually in Abuja. Giving a breakdown of the company's performance, the chairman of the board stated that 3 subsidiaries of the company did well in their own right, in spite of the COVID-19 pandemic, which took a toll on businesses across the globe. According to him, Nidus Marine Limited earned operating revenue of $67,265,000, equivalent to 25.6 billion naira, and recorded a profit before tax of $3,729,000, equivalent to 1.4 billion naira.
NIDA's coastal business witnessed an increase in vessels on hire by 133%, as the increase in vessels with NNPC Marine Logistics from 6 to 14 vessels. NIDA's international shipping business completed 157 fixtures made up of 15 crude and 142 clean cargoes with a gross revenue of $175.78 million.
The managing director of the company, Mrs. Christiana Onabu, thanked the staff for the performance, describing the year as a difficult one, while assuring the shareholders of a better performance in the years ahead. In line with the corporation's resolve to give full expression to the National Automotive Biofuels Program of the federal government, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, has inaugurated the board of the Osno Sunshine Biofuels Company Limited to jumpstart the production of biofuels in the country. Speaking at the inauguration ceremony in Abuja, the group managing director of the NNPC, Malamele Kyari, described the incorporation of the Osno Sunshine Biofuels Company Limited and the inauguration of its board as a major milestone in the corporation's energy transition journey in response to the global shift to cleaner energy. Osno Sunshine Biofuels Company Limited is jointly owned by the NNPC, Ondo State Government, and Obax Worldwide Limited.
Demonstration of our commitment towards the implementation of Nigeria's nationally determined contribution under the Paris Agreement aimed at combating global climate change, which His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari signed on behalf of Nigeria at the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change in 2015.
Speaking after his inauguration as chairman of the board of Osno Sunshine Biofuels Company Limited, the Chief Operating Officer Ventures and Business Development NNPC, Engineer Adeyemi Adetunji, said his appointment was an opportunity to serve.
And we promise that on behalf of this board, that we'll do everything in our powers to ensure the objectives of the company are achieved to the betterment of Nigeria, and of course that you yourself and the entire country be proud of.
The president and chairman of Obax Worldwide, Architect Patrick Obasoyi, and the chief executive officer of the Ondo State Development and Investment Promotion Agency, Mr. Boye Oyewumi, who are also members of the board, expressed their commitment to the success of the project.
Because this is a project that's been there before 2 previous governments before we came in, and is looking forward to a grand flag off ceremony where we'll be physically present.
Hello and welcome to the feedback segment of the program. My name is Abigail Ojogbo. The 9th National Assembly recently kept a date with history when the Senate and the House of Representatives separately passed the long-awaited Petroleum Industry Bill, PIB, to regulate the oil and gas industry and attract more foreign and domestic investments into the industry. Our prying camera went to town to seek from Nigerians what sort of changes they will want to see in the petroleum legislation when it is finally assented into law. Take a listen.
The 3 aspects of the bill, when I say 3 aspects, the host community is one major and critical aspect of the bill, and then you have the governance aspect of the bill, which has to do with regulatory aspect of the bill, and then you have the physical, which has to do with the dollar or naira and kobo that propels investors. These are the 3 critical aspects of the bill. But it is not just to have the oil in the reserve, it is to bring out the oil to attract value for the sustainers of the economy of this nation.
I'm glad that it has finally been passed, the bravery of the National Assembly and Mr. President for making sure such a bill that rewards the actual communities, We've not had local content performance in the petroleum sector the way it's supposed to be done.
I encourage and I urge the oil companies to demonstrate sincerity when dealing with especially the people, the host communities.
This bill is going to bridge the gap between the host community and the IOCs. And I strongly believe that this bill is going to create good impact in the host communities.
The most interesting part for me about the petroleum industry bill is the host community fund, which I feel it's a huge chunk of money that, when utilized well, can be used to address the developmental challenges.
The operators and investors, this bill should be able to make more people invest in the oil and gas industry.
The PIB, no doubt, is a petroleum legislation that will redefine the oil and gas sector when it is finally passed into law. It is therefore incumbent on all stakeholders to work along with the National Assembly and the federal government to ensure that this 20-year-old journey of the PIB is concluded safely for the good of all and for the growth of the industry. Thanks for your attention.
Hello, a warm welcome to you on this segment of the program. My name is Faith Ayuba. Did you know that, like so many businesses across the world, the Nigerian oil and gas industry, and in particular the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, has taken a number of measures to navigate through the tide of the COVID-19 pandemic so as to remain afloat? The COVID-19 situation also made the NNPC to activate business automation, process improvements, and cost reduction across all segments of its businesses and operations. Did you know that as a corporate entity, NNPC envisions to become an integrated energy company focused on increasing production and reserves, expanding the nation's gas sector footprint, enhancing local refining capacity, and ensuring energy security for the nation? Did you also know that NNPC has emplaced the transparency, accountability, and performance excellence TAPE philosophy in order to ensure the culture of openness, deliver on its commitments to varied stakeholders, and entrench effectiveness and efficiency in all her operations? Now you know. Please stay tuned for the rest of the program.
Hello and welcome to Global Crude Oil Outlook. Oil prices climbed after industry data showed United States of America crude and product stockpiles dropped more than expected last week, bolstering expectations that demand will outpace supply growth even amid a surge in COVID-19 infections. Brent crude futures rose 38 cents or 0.5% to $74.86 per barrel after shedding 2 cents in the first decline in 6 days. United States of America West Texas Intermediate WTI crude futures were up 42 cents or 0.6% at $72.07 per barrel, reversing 0.4% decline. Meanwhile, the Market Intelligence Department of NNPC's London office reported that the United States of America gasoline futures contracts were a bright spot in a lackluster oil market recently, but gasoline, touching a multi-year high and closing higher, failed to lift the rest of the oil complex as crude and diesel contracts in the US and Europe barely budged. The August New York Mercantile Exchange NYMEX gasoline contract was up 58 cents per gallon and closed at $2.31 after briefly touching $2.34 in morning trade, the highest level in 3.5 years. U.S. refiners make more than $25 per barrel on gasoline if they can get their hands on U.S. West Texas Intermediate WTI in Goshen, Oklahoma. Refiners can turn around 55% of their crude throughput into gasoline. Refiners typically bid up WTI at such profit margins. The September NYMEX crude futures contract lost 26 cents per barrel at $71.65. Refiners are running less crude and making less gasoline ever since they delivered more than 10 million barrels per day of gasoline 3 weeks ago, but demand is still strong, analysts said. And that's it on this segment of the program. I am Owigo Okolo.
Well, that's the way it's been on this package of Oil and Gas Forum. You hope you found the stories very interesting. Hey, it's a brand new week. On behalf of NNPC, may it be profitable. Bye now.